My name is Kaana, and I'm a 30-year-old housewife. 2 years ago, I married Aoki, who is 6 years my senior. Since then, we've been living with his parents, Robert and Barbara, both in their 60s. Thankfully, they're in good health and still very active. However, Barbara's boundless energy seems to be channeled more into social activities than household chores. I'm not sure if this was her routine before I moved in or if it started then, but she rarely helps around the house. Despite being a stay-at-home mom who never worked outside the home, Barbara often leaves me with the bulk of the household duties. She'll say, "Dinner isn't ready yet, you had plenty of time, didn't you?" and then go out to enjoy herself. If I don't finish everything by the time she returns, she makes sarcastic comments. I've tried to manage my frustration, but it's challenging. Mother-in-law, I'm sorry, but I did mention earlier that I might not finish everything. Complaining again, it's just basic stuff, right? This is why I struggle with your generation. I wish you'd learn from Naoki. The snide remarks are bad enough, but what really stings is Barbara's constant bragging about Aoki's achievements. She delights in pointing out, "Naoki works so hard every day, but his wife can't even manage this." It's demoralizing, especially since my husband never seems to defend me. During dinners, Barbara will criticize me, and Aoki's only response is a disinterested, "Oh, really?" I used to think Aoki's maturity, being older, would be a strength, but now I feel like he sees me merely as a housemaid. Even when I'm up late doing chores, he doesn't say a word. Instead, he throws laundry at me, often aiming for my face, and says, "Hey, don't forget this too." I regret marrying someone who has changed so drastically since we tied the knot. For our first anniversary, he bought a cake but then threw a pie in my face, laughing about it. You wouldn't guess he's a 36-year-old man from his behavior. However, there's a silver lining in my life. Me father-in-law, Robert. Robert is kind and calm, always asking, "Thank you, Kaana. Is there anything difficult? I'll help you." He's the only person who treats me with genuine kindness in this household. Since I left my job to get married, he's become my only real companion. I've come to see him as a father figure. Unfortunately, Robert works as a senior staff member and isn't home during the day, which means I'm often alone with Barbara. Whenever I speak with Robert, Barbara's displeasure is palpable, and her attitude toward me seems to worsen. Don't look at your father-in-law like that. Just because Naoki ignores you doesn't mean you should go after his father. It's disgusting. Barbara's accusations became a regular occurrence, always said in a tone Robert couldn't hear. I tried to defend myself. "That's not true at all." "Oh, did I strike a nerve? Raising your voice now, are we? How unbecoming." No matter how I tried to explain, Barbara always had a retort ready. Our conversations felt futile, like they never reached any understanding. I confided in Aoki, hoping he'd see through Barbara's delusions. Instead, he laughed and said, "So you're into men over 60 now? You're really open-minded." I was stunned. I had already given up hope that Aoki would help with the housework or address Barbara's behavior, but his reaction was a blow I hadn't anticipated. It made me feel even more out of place in this house. One summer day, Barbara announced, "We're planning a family trip for when Naoki's summer vacation starts." I braced myself for the usual, her excitement about going out, but then she added, "You're coming too, right, Kaana?" I was surprised by the invitation. I had expected them to go without me. "May, are you sure you want me to come?" "It's not that," Barbara said, her tone hinting at something I couldn't quite place. I was wary but uncertain of how to refuse. That evening, Aoki asked again, "So you're going on the trip, right?" "Yeah, Barbara invited me." Aoki's laughter was unsettling. "What's so funny?" I asked. "Oh, nothing," he replied. his tone evasive. My unease grew as the trip day approached. Aoki drove us to our destination, with Robert joining us later due to work commitments. In the car, it was just me, Aoki, and Barbara. Aoki driving, Barbara in the passenger seat, and me in the back. The limited view of their faces heightened my anxiety. "Kaona, you took out some money for the trip, right?" Barbara asked. "Yes, a few $100s. "Good," Barbara said with a smirk. As we drove, I noticed we had passed the sign for the inn where we were supposed to stay. "Didn't we just pass the inn?" I asked. "We're going to a tourist spot first. We'll check in later," Aoki said, his smile betraying something off. As we continued further from the inn, the scenery grew greener. I sighed quietly, making sure they didn't hear, as we eventually arrived at a dam. To be honest, the dam wasn't impressive. It was small and deserted, far from a tourist attraction. "Let's get out of the car," Barbara urged. "Don't leave any valuables inside. It could be risky," Aoki added, and I followed their instructions. As I prepared to exit the car, Barbara and Aoki acted as if they were busy. Barbara said, "I should take off my jewelry just in case," and Aoki muttered, "Oops, I still have something in my pocket," delaying their exit. I stepped out and closed the door, only to hear the distinct sound of the lock clicking shut. Aoki cracked the driver's and passengers' windows open just a bit. Laughter erupted from inside the car. Aoki's laughter was booming. "Hey, what are you doing out here? Planning to stay overnight?" Barbara's voice dripped with mockery. My frustration flared, but I tried to stay composed. "What do you mean?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "You got out on your own, didn't you?" Aoki laughed so hard he was holding his stomach. Realization he had left my wallet and cell phone in the car. Everything had gone according to their plan. "Well, Kaana, make yourself comfortable," Barbara said with a smirk. "Eat some grass and sleep outside." Aoki, still laughing, held up my wallet and flipped through it before rolling up the window. Their laughter faded as they drove off, leaving me behind. "Well, they're a handful, and it's so hot," I muttered to myself. Despite the sweltering summer heat and the risk of dehydration, I managed to stay calm. An hour later. "Why are you here?" Aoki looked astonished to see me. "I was at the inn where we were supposed to stay." "Are you a ghost? Did something happen at the dam?" Barbara looked like she was about to faint. I considered pretending to be a ghost, but decided against it. I was determined to stay here tonight. I showed them the key to my room, which I had already left my luggage in. My husband, clearly confused and agitated, seemed to think I had taken their room key without permission. "What are you doing? Give it back," he demanded. "No," I said firmly. When he tried to snatch the key from me roughly, a man appeared and intervened, grabbing Aoki's hand. "Sir, please refrain from causing a disturbance here," the man said. He was about the same age as Robert but had a sturdy build and was taller, giving him a more authoritative presence than my middle-aged, slightly overweight husband. "Who are you? Are you staff here? Do you think you can treat a guest like this? I'll sue you for assault," Aoki yelled, his anger flaring. Barbara joined in, shouting at the man as well. The man calmly introduced himself. "I apologize for not introducing myself earlier. I am the owner of this inn." Upon hearing this, Aoki quickly pulled back his hand. I recognized the owner. I had met him years ago when I was in college. My friends and I had taken a trip to this area during summer vacation and, due to our tight budget and lack of navigational skills, we had ended up lost and wandering in the heat. We stumbled upon Mary, the owner's daughter, who had collapsed on the side of the road. We called an ambulance and stayed with her until it arrived. The next day, the owner came to our small inn to thank us profusely, saying, "You saved my daughter's life. Thank you so much." He had invited us to stay at his inn any time we visited again, free of charge. Since then, my family and I had visited several times, which is why I knew the owner. Now, he was sternly addressing Aoki and Barbara. Although polite, it was clear he was very angry. He had been aware of their plan all along. I had discovered their scheme 2 weeks ago when I noticed their suspicious behavior after they invited me on this trip. I set up a voice recorder to catch their conversations when I was out of the room. How about we leave Kana somewhere? That would be hilarious. Oh, how about here? There's a gym about an hour's drive from the inn. I was shocked by the recording. I immediately contacted the inn and explained the situation to the owner. He was infuriated, especially because his own daughter had once suffered from heat exhaustion. Knowing the situation, he arranged for me to be picked up. After waiting for Aoki and Barbara's car to leave, I was transported in the inn shuttle. By the way, the driver was Mary, the same girl I had helped years ago. I got my license. Maybe we can go for a drive next time, she said cheerfully. We're driving right now, I replied. Oh, great, Mary responded with enthusiasm. We enjoyed a pleasant conversation and stopped to buy some local specialty ice cream. When we arrived at the inn, I felt reassured knowing that Mary, familiar with the area, had taken a shortcut, getting us there well before Aoki and Barbara. You mentioned suing earlier, ma'am. The owner addressed Barbara with a stern look. Yes, I did. It's outrageous to be accused of such things, Barbara retorted. I'm sorry, but you're not our guests, the owner said firmly. What? Are you kidding us? Both Aoki and Barbara's tempers flared. Your reservations have been cancelled, the owner stated. What do you mean? Who do you think you are? Aoki demanded, visibly agitated. The owner stepped in to restrain him. Kaona did nothing wrong. We cancelled your reservations due to your behavior. What are you talking about? Barbara protested. Leaving a woman alone at a remote dam and stealing her wallet, that's a crime. We cannot allow such people to stay at our inn. We've also contacted the police. This revelation only made Aoki and Barbara more furious. This is absurd. You can't treat us like this. I work at a company. This little inn in the mountains. Just then, Robert arrived, looking concerned. What's going on here? He asked, taking in the tense scene. Why are you arguing with these people? Barbara and Aoki tried to convince Robert to leave, but he turned to me and the owner for the full story. Upon hearing what had happened, Robert's face reddened with anger. You two are unbelievable. Robert's outburst was the first time I had seen him lose his temper. I'm ashamed to be associated with you. Get out of here now. Aoki and Barbara were stunned by Robert's outburst. Get out. Where will we go? Another inn? Barbara asked, clearly frustrated. Leave here and go home, Robert insisted. Wait a minute. That's not possible, Dad, Aoki protested with a forced smile, but Robert was resolute. You're disowned. Leave now, Robert commanded firmly. No, I don't want to repeat myself, Robert said as he pushed Aoki aside. Just then, the police arrived, causing Aoki and Barbara to go pale. The owner and I briefed the officers on the situation, and I played back the recorded conversation for him. Aoki and Barbara began to cry, but Robert cut them off. Quiet down, you're disrupting the inn. Officer, please remove them, Robert instructed. But officers, it wasn't meant to be such a big deal. It was just a prank, Aoki and Barbara pleaded. The officer's demeanor shifted. A prank? Are you serious? Don't you realize that your so-called prank could have endangered someone's life, especially your own wife? The officers scolded them sternly, although they weren't arrested due to it being a family dispute. Aoki and Barbara remained visibly shaken. This isn't over. Kaana's feelings will determine your future. Understand? Robert's final words left Aoki and Barbara subdued as they made their way home. Afterwards, Robert appeared genuinely remorseful. He repeatedly apologized, saying, "I'm truly sorry for not recognizing the difficulties you've faced and for the ordeal you went through today." He also extended his apologies to the inn owner, acknowledging, "I'm deeply sorry for the trouble we caused. We always appreciate your hospitality, and it's regrettable that we caused such a disturbance." The inn owner, who is also a businessman with multiple companies and a client of Robert's workplace, was aware of the situation. Unbeknownst to my husband, who had bragged about working for a big company, his actions had serious repercussions. While I felt a sense of justice in confronting Aoki and Barbara, I couldn't help but feel a shiver at what might have happened had I not discovered their plan. I hoped that the police's reprimand would make them realize the seriousness of their actions. After returning from the inn, I proceeded with divorcing my husband and demanded substantial alimony. I hoped this would make him and Barbara reflect on their actions and deter them from repeating such behavior. In the aftermath, I learned that Robert and Barbara had also divorced. Robert severed ties with my ex-husband and expelled him from their home. Aoki was advised to resign, as his workplace bullying had already been a significant issue. It turned out that his harsh treatment of his juniors and colleagues had prompted the HR department to plan disciplinary action. I feel disappointed in myself for having married such a person. My ex-husband, now unemployed, has been struggling to find a new job, despite his age and previous managerial role. His lack of a strong track record and unclear reasons for leaving his old job have made it difficult for him to secure a position. Barbara, having been kicked out by Robert, has moved in with her relatives. However, she's rumored to be a spendthrift with a penchant for travel, leading her relatives to worry that she might deplete their savings. I believe she should consider getting a part-time job, as she's still in good health. As for me, I moved out of my in-laws' house and now live independently nearby. My relationship with Robert remains positive, and I occasionally seek his advice on work-related issues. Transitioning from a stay-at-home mom to a new career, I began job hunting and was unexpectedly approached by Kuno, the inn owner. "Would you like to work at my company?" he offered. He expressed genuine concern for my situation and seemed eager to find a suitable role for me. I was thrilled to accept his offer. "I'm deeply grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much," I said. "No, we're the ones who owe you. We can't thank you enough," Kuno replied. "I feel like I've already repaid my debt from that time and am just returning the favor." The company Kuno introduced me to is highly reputable, offering excellent labor conditions, and it's even larger in capital than the company my ex-husband used to boast about. The work environment is welcoming and supportive. I'm finding my new days more fulfilling and enjoyable than those spent grappling with my former married life.